our venue for the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout, played for the 28th consecutive year. This is Feast Week presented by Lowe's, and we have had a dandy of a tournament thus far. Yesterday, semifinal action, Marquette defeated Oral Roberts in a battle of Golden Eagles, and South Carolina, they outlasted the Hawks of Monmouth. So Marquette and South Carolina playing in today's championship game. Alongside Jimmy Dykes, I am Eric Collins. Thrilled to have you here in the last frontier. This is a battle of Big East against the SEC. Two power conferences involved in this championship game.
You know, and winning the Great Alaska Shootout, Eric, it's a little bit buying an insurance policy in November that may not pay off until March. When you think about it, if you're searching for one of those at-large bids, this looks awfully good on your resume. In the 27-year history of the Great Alaska Shootout, 23 champions have also earned an NCAA bid that same year.
And Jimmy, don't think that the head coaches don't know about that. Dave Odom, he has been around the block, now the head coach in his 5th season with the South Carolina Gamecocks, and he is riding the crest of a real high. His Gamecocks have won 9 consecutive games. That's the longest streak in Odom's tenure. Marquette, they're playing good basketball. They did stub their toe once this year, losing their second game they played against Winthrop. But besides that, they've been pretty darn impressive for such a young team. Tom Crean and the Golden Eagles of Marquette, they are 3-1, despite the fact that they start 3 freshmen.
Well, because they start 3 freshmen and they're getting ready to jump into the Big East, this is a very, very important November and December for Tom Crean's club. That perimeter game must grow up in a hurry. Visiting with Tom Crean all week long, he said he has seen his kids improve from Monday to Tuesday and all the way through this week. They've had some monster practices. What Tom Crean's hoping for, turn this game into a toughness match right off the bat for Dave Odom.
Well, right now, both teams have come out of the chute firing very accurately. South Carolina, they've made 5 of their first 7 shots. Marquette, they've made 4 of 6. South Carolina on top 12-10, 15-14 remaining, first half. The young freshman, Dominique James, at the free throw line, makes 1, he'll have another.
I like Marquette's offense early this season, watching them on film and watching them in person. The reason why I say that, they are much more aggressive and share that basketball well. Last year, Travis Dino was excellent. They became one-dimensional. Marquette right now, Eric, averaging 24 free throw attempts a ball game. That's a hustle stat, in my opinion.
Quickly up the floor. Gamecocks fire up a quick shot. Kelly can't find it. And McNeil, the long rebound for Marquette.
Both clubs so far just climbing in your jersey, man-to-man on both ends. Marquette will change it up some.
Long shot, James can't find it from behind the arc. Ronaldo Balkman on the run out. 3-on-2, over to Kelly. And before the shot, they're going to call a charge on Balkman.
You know what, that's a scouting report charge taken by Marquette. They know Ronaldo Balkman has the ability to grab it on one end, to board and bring it. He gets the board, and then he's going to bring it. You just step in front of him because he's 6'8". Yes, he can bring it with speed, but because he doesn't have those jet quick stops about him because of his size, you can draw a charge on him and count that one up to the scouting report.
And that is trouble for South Carolina. Balkman has to go to the bench with 2 personal fouls early. Inside, pass over to Usman Barrow, working the baseline, double team. Travel to the basketball before getting that shot off.
South Carolina playing their 3rd game in 3 days. Marquette's playing their 3rd game in 4 days. As a result, I expect Dave Odom to go to his bench early and probably often. That 3-and-3 is tough.
South Carolina 4-0, winning streak of 9 consecutive games, tied with North Carolina for tops in the country dating back to last year. Shot missed inside, loose ball, who wants it? Dominique James runs it down.
Well, they both learned that James has that jet quick speed in that lead guard position. He is really a talent.
Wesley Matthews, 18-year-old, rips the triple.
Wisconsin's Mr. Basketball. His dad was NBA vet Wes Matthews, and his mom, Pam Moore, Wisconsin track and field and Wisconsin basketball.
Good bloodlines.
You better set solid hard screens against Marquette and hold them about a half second longer than normal, or you won't get open.
Good touch for Antoine Tisby, the senior from Kansas City. Both teams playing real well offensively early. Matthews has his shot blocked by Tisby. Open look. Big fella. Wallace didn't want to take it.
Well, or he wanted to, but he had better judgment because he's a shot-hungry guy at 6'10" from the perimeter. Only shooting about 31% from out there.
Inside, Tisby, good look. Fights for it, gets it again, up and in.
Very important guy is Tisby. He can be a double-figure scorer. He showed it last year in games at Alabama and at Kentucky, and he's a viable guy off the bench right now for about 20 minutes.
Neal almost lost it. Tosses it over to Matthews. James has it. Over to Novak. Jump hook on the baseline. Misses from 12 feet. Good look, though, for Novak.
Yeah, Novak at 6'10", though, but he really plays to his body style, and he's a perimeter guy at 6'10".
Lawrence Kinsey. He had 22 points yesterday against Monmouth. Working the baseline now. A little too strong. Rebound fought for. Goes out of bounds. And it's going to stay with South Carolina. This is how these two teams got here. Marquette, they defeated Eastern Washington in the first round by 10, and then they barely held on yesterday in the semifinals against Oral Roberts, winning by 3. South Carolina, tough one, a dogfight against the Seawolves of Alaska Anchorage, and then yesterday, Monmouth threw a scare into them. South Carolina, they had a really strong second half and outlasted the Hawks.
Yeah, Monmouth had a system is what they threw at them. And they had that matchup zone working defensively to perfection, and that New Jersey Nets offense is just a real headache to match up against.
Coming off a curl. Kinsey, a little too strong. Jamil Lott off the bench had it, then lost it. Dominic James picks up the loose ball.
Outstanding, huh?
Circus shot by Amoroso.
Yeah, run that big right down the gut of your transition. Amoroso, a big body guy, can clear out of space himself. South Carolina, they play awfully well in that second and third shot opportunity. They fly around that rim, kind of like those Louisville Cardinal teams of the early 80s. Sometimes their best offense is a miss.
Usman Kanate just checked into the game, misses from behind the arc. Inside, Lott takes it off the face, and it bounces out of bounds. It'll be ball, South Carolina, when we come back.
Amoroso, a guy that knows Tom Crean wants to turn this thing into a toughness game. So defense and deflection, and then the toughness to run the floor and finish in traffic. Golden Eagles are off to a good start.
An 8-team dog race has boiled down to 2 teams. Feast Week presented by Lowe's continues. It's the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout, and it's a 1-point lead for Marquette. Well, during the course of the season, the ESPN family of networks will showcase a great basketball moment from all 326 Division I schools. The countdown will take us from A to Z. Time now for ESPN News, pride of the program. Tonight in the spotlight, it's BYU.
5 seconds. Inside. 8 scores. 2 seconds. 1 second on the clock. It is all over.
Facing elimination in the 1981 NCAA East Regional Semifinal, you just saw Danny Ainge take it the full length of the court and knock it in for the game winner against Notre Dame.
Somewhere Digger Phelps just threw his slipper at the TV screen. I've got a feeling. What are they going to do on that pride of the program when you get to the Dukes, North Carolinas, Indianas? I mean, where do you pick out that one special spot for those programs, huh? Those things are fun to watch.
One of the special moments for Tom Crean's Marquette Golden Eagles took place up here. 2001, they won this Great Alaska Shootout. First time the nation saw, at least in the collegiate level, Dwayne Wade. Shot along the corner. That's Wayne Day, missing from distance.
Well, Marquette doing a great job of cleaning up those misses, because that's how South Carolina has advanced in this tournament. Getting all over that offensive glass.
Amoroso up high, back over to James. Dominic James, freshman from Richmond, Indiana. They say he has a 40-inch vertical leap. Over a lot. Shot a little bit too strong, missed, cleared by Tisby.
South Carolina able to go to their bench and use their size tonight. Kanate with that basketball is a big bruiser guy, something that Dave Odom didn't have last year, but this is more of an SEC caliber team that they're playing tonight, so Kanate will get some minutes. described him as a bruiser, and Ryan Amoroso is going to have one because of it. Took a shot to the chops, didn't he?
This is going to be one of the few basketball games we'll ever see where you have two players, one on each side, whose first name is Usman. We have Usman Barrow starting for Marquette, and Usman Kanate coming off the bench for South Carolina. Both actually hail from the same hometown, Dakar in Senegal.
Keep an eye on the turnovers for Marquette as this game progresses. They're averaging 18 turnovers a ball game to only 16 assists. That's another sign of a young perimeter.
Long shot, Joe Chapman just off the bench, misses his first attempt.
With a good gang, a rebound by South Carolina.
Ray Sheldon in the game. Another quick shot for him. Up and in.
In the game and on the team to make shots, not to take them. And I like coaches, if your role is to come in and shoot the basketball and make it, you keep the pressure on them. That's what they're there for.
Marquette down by 3. And Fitzgerald now in the game running the point. Amoroso. Turnaround, up and in. Good touch for the big fella.
Yeah, worked himself well off of the screen, didn't he? Not afraid to use those 6'10 guys, Tom Crean's, not to curl with the ball in their hands and pull up to shoot from 16 or 17. Ton of set plays out of Marquette if you chase him man-to-man for 40 minutes.
Kanate, another look for him. Too strong.
Eric, that's not what he's in the game for. He's in the game to bang and set screens and get on the boards. He's taking 2 shots he shouldn't have taken.
Foul along the baseline. Emil Locke is held. Well, Tuesday night, things get really interesting. ESPN brings you a doubleheader from the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Cisco Systems. First at 7 Eastern, it's Wisconsin taking on Wake Forest. Then at 9, how about this? Illinois against the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
I'll actually be at that Wisconsin-Wake Forest game, and Orlando Tucker is going to bring his act into Wake Forest, and he's coming off an MVP performance at the Paradise Jam. 38 over Eastern Kentucky, 20 over Old Dominion, and a good win in the finals, and that'll be a dandy.
Foul underneath on the senior, Joe Chapman. Gives the ball back over to South Carolina. Who's got the advantage this year, Big Ten or ACC?
I think Big Ten, not because what will happen next week, but I just look at those leagues right now. I like the depth in the Big Ten. I think 8 out of their 11 teams are hard teams to match up against and win ball games. I'm not so sure the ACC can go quite that deep as far as the quality. They are top heavy with Duke for sure.
Tom Crean looking on. He is 5-0 in this Great Alaska Shootout. Won 3 games in 2001 to take home the championship, and this year they've won games against Eastern Washington and Oral Roberts.
He's a basketball guy. I mean, he walked into this arena Tuesday morning for an early morning practice, looked up to the rafters, saw his banner from 01 and said, man, Jimmy, I love this tournament. It's all about basketball, watching film, watching other games. It gets dark, only about 6 hours of light, and you come up here to get your team focused, and you can pull it off.
Hisby stepping out, drilling the jumper. Hisby now with a half dozen.
Again, if you go all man against Marquette, you're going to have to go against a lot of set plays. South Carolina has sprinkled in just enough zone to keep them off balance.
Loose ball picked up by South Carolina, and they promptly throw it away. McNeil cross court to Amoroso. Stops, pops, a little too strong. Gamecocks slow it up. That's Stephen McDowell over to Sheldon. Such a soft stroke he's got.
Great job, though, to push that ball and let the shooter kind of fill in from behind because he was trailing the play a little bit. But again, it's a guy that knows his role. Take shots, make shots.
South Carolina, they're shooting real well. 11 of their first 20 they've made. Marquette. Anchorage Airport. Teams have been here for the past 5 days. Tomorrow, all 8 clubs will head back to school and back to classes on Monday.
Beautiful day today, wasn't it? Only about 13 degrees, snow everywhere all around us up in the mountains. Clear, sunny day. Great basketball weather.
Marquette down by 6. Joe Chapman up high. Senior out of Chicago. Over the freshman.
Keep an eye on this possession. You're coming out of a timeout. Who wins the possession out of timeouts? Sometimes between 8 and 10 points a game are decided by it.
Novak, quick trigger. A little short. Rebound pulled down by Kanate.
South Carolina won the possession out of timeout with a cleanup by Kanate.
Even scoring early for South Carolina. 3 players with 6 points. Konate's fired up 3 quick shots. This one's a good one.
Yeah, well, that's what he's in the game for right there, to become a power guy on the interior, something Dave Odom didn't have last year that he needs in the SEC if he's going to climb up that East Division. They trap those ball screens to death.
Fitzgerald picks up his dribble. Over to Chapman.
They do it because they're long, they're lanky, and they're quick. Again, the personnel of Dave Odom dictates what he does on both ends of the floor.
Skip pass to Chapman. Gets his man up in the air, shoots it over to Fitzgerald. Shot clock down. Chapman just gets it off, but the shot's missed. Amoroso inside, cleans up the mess.
This really irritates you if you're a coach for South Carolina right now, because you played a beautiful, beautiful defensive possession and forgot to clean it up on the back end.
South Carolina has had great support off their bench already today. 15 of their 27 points have been scored by non-starters. Sheldon looking for more. In and out. Someone forgot to pick up Amoroso.
Yeah, that someone was Konate. The scouting report will tell you that Amoroso is not afraid to trail and pull. There for 24.
And a timeout is called. Dave Odom wants to talk things over. Marquette, they're getting a little closer. Ryan Amoroso feeling the vibe from outside. He's got 9. Welcome back to the last frontier. Feast Week presented by Lowe's continues. Marquette on a good run. They've closed the gap within 3.
Well, again, Amoroso is a guy that has the green light. If he's a trailer in transition, and it's a good measured 3, let it go. Good release, rotation, and result. Konate got buried deep in the paint waiting on him, and Amoroso just took what the defense gave him.
Wednesday night, ESPN's coverage of the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Cisco Systems continues. 7 Eastern, it's Georgia Tech. Heading up to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. Then at 9 Eastern, it's the top-ranked Duke Blue Devils against the Indiana Hoosiers. Couple of good battles.
Yeah, nation's first look at Indiana's Marco Killingsworth since he transferred. And tell you what, he is a load. They get DJ White back and healthy. That is a great front line in that Big Ten this year for Mike Davis.
Almost a steal for Marquette. Another deflection. Gamecocks fortunate to still have the basketball.
Here's what Marquette do out of the timeout. They change their defense. They try to trap and turn you over quickly, but they keep their hands on the ball. The guards just make the play.
Trey Kelly with a bucket. And someone forgot to pick up Wesley Matthews. He was ahead of the pack, and he's fouled.
Marquette not afraid to push. You're going into the Big East. You better be efficient in your offensive areas, and that's one of them. Score from all different spots of the floor. I think going to the Big East is a great move for Marquette because they're already bringing in recruits that they wouldn't get their hands on, with a kid named Kubulon out of Newark, New Jersey, and Lazar Haywood out of Fitchburg, Massachusetts. And I'll tell you what they're selling right now on that recruiting trail is not only a 2003 Final Four, but the strength in the name of Dwayne Wade. That in the Big East is going to bring some talent to that Marquette campus.
Marquette and South Carolina, they do have a fairly deep connection. These teams have met on the basketball court 15 times before. But probably the biggest connection is the name McGuire. The all-time winningest head coach at South Carolina, Frank McGuire. All-time winningest coach at Marquette, Al McGuire. Frank actually coached Al McGuire at St. John's. And because of the relationship they had for a number of years in the 60s and 70s, they made sure that they played each other. So Marquette and South Carolina, they played each other a number of different times in a number of different arenas.
Two guys that really influenced the game of basketball in their area. Great lift, huh? Great lift fake by Novak. Just sold it. And there's no reason to go for the lift fake because he has not proven over the years to do much off the bounce. But look, I mean, he sells it. The eyes go up to the rim just like he's going to shoot that basketball, Eric. A lot of times guys will sell that shot fake, but they're looking down at the ground telling you this is where I'm going with the ball, although I'm acting like I'm going here. Novak sold it with his eyes to perfection.
And this kid right here, one of the greatest free throw shooters in college basketball history, he's made 40 in a row, make it 41 in a row dating to last year.
The problem is he only gets there once every 17 minutes that he's on the floor. Yes, he's 6'10". I said earlier that he plays to his body style, so he's roaming around out on the perimeter, not going hard towards the rim. But if he got there another 4 or 5 times a ball game, that's, you know, he goes from a 13-point score to an 18-point score.
South Carolina up by 1, playing for the championship in the 2005 Great Alaska Shootout.
I like the motion out of South Carolina and the movement. I would prefer more screening against a tough, check-your-breath defense like Marquette. I think you have to have it to get open looks over a 40-minute period.
Ryan Amoroso fouls Tisby. That is just the second team foul for Marquette here in this first half.
Cannot afford to have a bad defensive night if you're a college basketball team. You can afford to have one on the offensive end, but you cannot have bad defensive nights if you're going to try to win a lot of games.
Oh, nice athletic play. Kinsey gets in the paint, hangs in the air, and drops it in, and he's fouled.
Leads the team in free throw attempts at 6 a game because of that ability right there. Really a hard guard when he's at that 3 position because he can stroke it from the perimeter. He's got that quick first step to go by with either direction. Understands the importance of shoulders as he's getting into the lane area. Still riding the momentum of that game winner last year with St. Joe's in the NIT.
Three-pointer at the buzzer gives South Carolina the NIT championship. Dominic James breaks the press by himself. Over to Novak. Clean look. You expect that result.
Well, that a great job by Dominic James to know his personnel. He knew if he could just get through the traffic, he had a 6'10" spotted up shooter waiting for him in the corner. Threw it to an area.
Rocky Trice working the dribble.
Well-played basketball game so far by both clubs.
Trey Kelly with the tray. What you'd expect.
A career 29% three-point shooter. If he can climb up into that 35, 36 percentile this year, huge plus for the Gamecocks.
Amoroso can't hit it, but on the other side, tapped in by Dan Fitzgerald.
Marquette always runs somebody to the weak side when the shot's taken from the baseline. They play the percentages.
Inside ball. Spins off the fingertips of Tisby. Turnover, gives it over to Marquette.
Tom Crean has trusted the most valued thing as a coach, the basketball, in the hands of Dominique James. Throws to an area. The Golden Eagles are shaking their tail from it.
Thank you so much, Scott. Well, here at our game, we have Gamecocks on people's heads. But outside, well, we have bigger game. Look at this.
I love this. You're talking about 2 people walking next to something that has about a 9-foot wide rack, weighs 1,500 pounds, and I'm no moose expert, but if I'm close enough to pinch a moose's rear end, that's way too close. What were you thinking? Big fella. Wow.
You know, some things in this world you kind of just guess at, and other things you just know. Some things are fitting, and this, in my opinion, is Trey Kelly is 3 for 3 from three-point land. Trey's all around for Trey. Off to a good start.
What a day for the SEC. Vanderbilt wins at Georgetown, and LSU wins at West Virginia. Florida's already won the coaches versus cancer, and I'm not so sure that leaks down like people are saying.
Someone didn't read the scouting report.
Yeah.
Novak is hot early. He's getting open looks.
Coming out of the timeout. Who wins the possession? Mark up 3 for Marquette.
Golden Eagles ahead by 1. Torrance Kinsey, pull up.
The baskets by South Carolina are a little tougher right now than the baskets by Marquette. Marquette getting good open looks. South Carolina making shots with a hand in their face.
Amoroso. Over to James.
I just like the balance in the offense this year for Marquette. Travis Diener dominated the ball last year, as well he should, but they became one-dimensional at times. Not this year. All five will get a touch on a lot of possessions for Marquette.
Rocky Trice feeds the post. Tisby, he's done damage early in this game. That one a little bit too strong. You talked about Marquette a year ago. They started off the season with their hair on fire. They won 13 of their first 14. But then late in the season, Diener got hurt, broke that hand, and they really struggled down the stretch, winning just 6 of their last 11.
Oh, terrific.
Lost in the NIT. And goaltending's going to be called. Brandon Wallace goaltends, give the bucket to Amoroso.
Great entry pass, though, wasn't it? Look at Marquette again, reverse that ball. No one within 20 feet at Novak. Coming out of the timeout, a wide open three. Now on the other end, that's a tough shot. If you're Marquette, you've challenged the shot, you've boxed off, you've sealed people off, and a talent just jumped up and made one over the top of you. I think Tom Crean learned a lesson last year, putting the ball in Travis Diener's hands so much, because when he went down, they absolutely labored to score every trip. Not this year. They have spread it around. Oh, terrific.
Alley-oop intended for McNeil, and we're going to get a foul called on Tisby. Gave him a hit check on his way out.
Eric, that's a true frosh to a true frosh. And the talent in that perimeter game for Marquette is awfully good. Dominic James trying to follow the lineage of guys like Cordell Henry, who handled the point for Marquette from 1999 to 02. And then Travis Diener took over through 05. This guy can score. Led Indiana High School last year, 31 points a game average. Dominic James did.
Ninth line right here, Jarrell McNeil from Hillcrest High School on Chicago's South Side. Somewhat unheralded, but he's put up good numbers thus far. He started all 4 games for the Marquette Golden Eagles, and he's shooting 68% from the field. He knows what a good shot is.
Yeah, and he also knows how to cover. He's the best on-ball defender Tom Crean has, and was a true freshman. Tom Crean just embraces that in someone.
McNeil working up top against Kelly. Kelly goes right past him, shoots it over to Wallace. Open look, Rocky Trice, the triple.
Yeah, and credit Wallace for turning it down, because again, he can be a little shot hungry, so he turned down a pretty good shot to get his teammate a really good shot.
Underneath a minute to play, all deadlocked at 40.
Carolina's gone a long time without Balkman. He's a difference maker on that glass. So to be tied, Dave Odom probably feels pretty good.
No look pass, Amoroso inside, takes his time and knocks it in. He's got 13 points off the bench.
Yeah, because had he rushed it, he would have lost his strength. His strength is power, and getting those dogs underneath him and taking it right through your chin to the rim.
Gamecocks holding for the last shot. Wallace, a 3.
Oh, my! A huge momentum basket.
That'll do it. How about that for an entertaining 20 minutes of basketball? Championship level basketball here for Great Alaska Shootout. Ryan Amoroso, 13 points off the bench. Both teams shooting well over 50% in the first half.
Boy, great job of Brandon Wallace to drift off of the drive of the basketball. I mean, for a big guy to drift up the floor right here, knowing the shot clock's winding down. Had he stayed lock-legged in the same spot, the passer would not have been in his vision. Great job of drifting up the floor, and a huge momentum basket for the Gamecocks.
1-point lead for South Carolina. And with that, let's go to the halftime report where Scott Reese is standing by. First half of basketball here at the Great Alaska Shootout Championship game was everything we possibly could have wanted. Feast Week presented by Lowe's. And after 20 minutes, South Carolina on top of Marquette 43-42. Alongside Jimmy Dykes, I'm Eric Collins. Sensational play in the first half. Who's got the advantage as we kind of round this thing in the second half?
Well, first of all, remember this is a very important resume win for one of these clubs. And I think the advantage, although South Carolina, yes, they do have a 1-point advantage, I also think they have the advantage because they have the lead without Ronaldo Balkman. He only played 5 minutes, and he was a rebound waiting to happen in those 5 minutes. 6 points, 3 rebounds. Now they're getting a knot put on their head overall in the rebounding department. But again, South Carolina gets Balkman back for this 20 minutes. They look like they could be in pretty good shape. Both clubs really, Eric, shooting the lights out against tough defense. Marquette's had some open looks. South Carolina has made some difficult shots. And free throws. South Carolina, again, not getting to the stripe much.
Take a look at some stars in the first half and some unexpected names.
Yeah, Amoroso, what more could you ask for a guy to check in off the bench and produce? 13 points, 6 boards. His strength, his upper body power strength has been a problem for South Carolina's athletes to handle, and Trey Kelly has certainly been a Trey. Perfect 3 for 3 from that three-point line.
So this will decide it. The 28th Great Alaska Shootout. 20 minutes to play. The Marquette Golden Eagles, they have never lost in this event. They are 5-0. They won the 2001 championship when Dwayne Wade was just a pup. First couple of games that he ever played. Right up here.
Novak again spotted up.
Wesley Matthews over to Dominic James. Same 5 on the floor at the start of the game for Marquette. Inside shot missed, but Gerald McNeil there to clean up the glass.
I go back to what Tom Crean told you and I last night as we left the building. The club that has the most rebounds when this tournament's over is also going to carry home the championship trophy. And he has sent that message loud and clear to his troops over the last 24 hours preparing.
Inside, Ronaldo Balkman didn't play much in the first half. Able to come off the bench and be productive early. He's got 8 points, hasn't missed a shot thus far. James, how about that for a circus shot?
Has that speed to get in the lane about any time he wants. His strength is his quickness at times. His negative is his quickness because he goes places that he's not for sure where the ending point is.
Whistle, and we're going to have a foul called against Marquette.
Bachman's averaging 7 defensive boards a game, but this is what he can really do. Score around that rim with quickness. So with Amoroso and Barrow in the interior for Marquette, they're not real quick, fleet-footed guys. Bachman could really go off this half.
Coming off a screen, Kinsey between the legs, loses the handle, resets over to Wallace. Wallace loses the handle, but he was whacked. Steve Novak picks up the personal foul, and Wallace will go to the free throw line and shoot a pair.
Talked about Marquette moving to the Big East, Eric, and I think they've got a really good shot to finish 500. If you look at how their schedule has fallen for them in their first year in Big East play, they don't play UConn, or I'm sorry, they don't play Syracuse. They play UConn, Louisville, and Villanova once. Their 2-time opponent is DePaul, Notre Dame, and Pittsburgh, all winnable games. So for them to have a shot to get to that 12-team Big East tournament, I think it's a realistic goal for Tom Crean, as young as they are.
Big East is now a 16-team conference. Dominic James didn't look for his offense very much in the first half. Terrell McNeil over to Matthews, down to Novak. The lone senior on the floor for Marquette. Usman Barrow got open for a moment and cashes in.
Boy, he was a big target, wasn't he, with both hands. I'm starting to like post guys that call for that ball with 2 hands and the elbows out as opposed to 1 showing a target hand. He did it well.
South Carolina riding a 9-game winning streak where they won last year's NIT.
Now the zone look, they sprinkle it in just a few times and it comes up with a turnover for Marquette.
3-on-2, numbers. Up and in. Wesley Matthews with the alley-oop.
Again, those 2 kids were playing high school ball this time last year.
Inside Balkman hasn't missed a shot so far today. 4 for 4, and he's fouled.
There's that quickness that Marquette cannot match up with right now on the interior from Balkman. Great job of Marquette's wings getting wide. I mean, one guy couldn't defend 2, so James kept that ball in the middle of the floor, and he controlled his speed because he had the speed to outrun his wings. But he's grown up in this tournament, controlled his speed, Eric, and allowed those wings to run and finish at the rim. Kid's going to be a terrific player.
Balkman hits the first free throw. Talking about the youngsters on the perimeter for Marquette. When they play, they're prone to streaks, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. Big lead yesterday. Actually, the first game that they played against Eastern Washington almost gave it up because they didn't play well down the stretch, making freshman mistakes.
There's Balkman's influence on this game.
Wild pass, loose ball. Kinsey picks it up. Inside, Kinsey. And they're going to call a charge on Kinsey.
Very difficult to take the ball 12, 15 feet out on the perimeter and get to the rim against Marquette. They're too well schooled at help defense. There you see number 22 slide over, Jarrell McNeil. Again, the best on-ball defender that Tom Crean has as a true freshman. Does a terrific job as an off-ball defender. Slide, hold your ground, hit the deck, and get the call. Take charges with your feet, no other part of your body.
Matthews falls to the ground, picks it up, tries to call timeout, doesn't get it in time. Held ball. It's going to go over to South Carolina.
Dave Odom's got to get his Gamecocks up around that rim on the offensive glass. And they've been averaging 11, 12 offensive boards a game. We have 3 so far in this one.
Skip pass, Trey Kelly. He is now 4 for 4 from behind the arc. Heck of an offensive day for the point guard. He's got 14 points.
You know, and he's a kid I think will really hold his own this year with those other point guards in the SEC. He's not going to dominate guys like Rondo, but I think he's going to hold his own with everybody in that league, and that's all you can ask for if you're Dave Odom from him.
Dominic James took a quick shot. Now he'll set up some offense.
When you chart your second chance opportunities, you want to convert 50% of the time. And they blow one.
Wild shot, no good. Here come the Gamecocks. Trailing the play, Kinsey raises. A little bit short, rebound Matthews. Couple of subs will come on for Marquette at the next whistle. Bench played very well for Marquette in the first half.
Marquette has kind of gone away from their on-ball screens, Eric, again, because South Carolina will just trap you to death.
Novak, wow, a little bit of daylight and he hits it. 16 points for the senior.
A guy that doesn't have a true position. I label him a floater on the offensive end. Just kind of floats around, picks and chooses, can pick and pop. If you're guarding a floater, you better be versatile and stick-to-itiveness attitude.
Loose ball goes out of bounds, and it's going to stay with South Carolina.
Well, Trey Kelly is now Quattro Kelly. Release, rotation, result. But he's being answered on the other end by a 6'10 shooter, a sharp shooter. He's a floater. Don't leave a floater.
Here in Anchorage, Alaska, the high today was 11 degrees, but it has been bearable because we have been warmed by quality basketball. Those are the high temperatures in the home cities of all the other teams in the Great Alaska Shootout. Well, Tuesday night, ESPN brings you a doubleheader for the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Cisco Systems. Wisconsin taking on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and then Illinois against North Carolina. The Tar Heels hosting the Fighting Illini.
That second game Tuesday night, Illinois at North Carolina. Keep an eye on that thing, especially Tyler Hansborough, the freshman from Carolina. He's 6'9", about 235. Kind of has an ornery streak in him, but I think it's going to be a real tough matchup for clubs in that ACC. You're going to get Roy Williams. You better get him again this year because he is reloading.
Travel on the inbounds. Torrance Kinsey going to give the ball back over to Marquette.
And it's another out of the timeout possession won by Marquette. If you go back and watch this film, they probably have won 4 out of 5.
Novak, quick look. Can't get it. Rebound Amoroso continues to have a big night. He's got 15 points off the bench for Tom Crean.
You know what, Amoroso's a guy, from a coaching standpoint, you can sit him down in front of all the teammates in the locker room about 20 minutes before and put a real carrot in front of him and say, you know what, if you're tougher than anyone else on that floor tonight, Amoroso, you can win this ball game for us. And boy, he just swells up and can't wait to get out on that floor. Kind of kid he is.
Torrance Kinsey answers on the other end for South Carolina. Fitzgerald back in the game. working in the backcourt along with Dominic James from Marquette. Long shot off the mark. High for the rebound. Rocky Trice has it, and he's fouled.
Eric, I want to go back to that inbounds play. Terrence Kinsey on the baseline out of bounds. He was at a frozen spot. So he's got a pivot foot right here that has to stay still. And when he moves it right there, boom, make the call. It's traveling. Although you're out of bounds, you still have to establish that spot, and that's a more dead-on accurate call. If a made basket, you know, you're going the other way, you can run the baseline. But when it's a violation like that and you've got a frozen spot, that's why they call it frozen.
Hoffman, cornered, gets it back out. Bryce Sheldon now in the game for South Carolina. He's on the left wing. Walkman, soft jumper, up and in. With Walkman, his perfect evening continues. Ball out of bounds, back to South Carolina. Quick turnover, takes it away from Marquette.
Watch Bachman flash into the teeth of the zone defense. I mean, a great job to the elbow, catch, square up. The defender was backed off of him, so it gives him just enough time to measure a 15-footer. I'm telling you, that's the guy in the second half now that could be a difference maker in this ball game.
Antoine Tisby back in the game for South Carolina. Over to Bachman. Kinsey again, can't leave him open. He seems to come alive in second halves.
Well, but you got to credit again the play of Bachman. Catch that ball, drive it hard to the baseline. At 6'8", he leads this club, South Carolina, in assists. Easily the most valuable player on the floor for South Carolina, in my opinion, for everything that he does. Now he's guarding a point guard up top.
James tries to go by him, and I think he's bailed out. They're going to call a foul on South Carolina.
Bad judgment by Ronaldo Bachman. Too valuable to swat down right there at the end. Boy, not a lot of contact. I think they called it on Bachman. Is that right? But he gambled at 6'8". Just throw a tall wall up and make the 6-footer shoot it over you.
Foul is indeed called on Bachman. That's his third. Seems like James is trying to seek out his offense a little bit more in the second half. First half, he attempted just one shot from the field. He's already put up 4 shots here in the second half. And is this intentional, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's their leading scorer on the year. He scored in double figures every game so far. His 5th game as a true freshman. So Tom Crean, not only is he giving him the basketball and say, bring it back to me safely after 40 minutes, he's also counting on the young guy to score points.
Whoa, that electric move, lay-in Trey Kelly. Spinorama and gets the layup to fall.
Kelly has not played well the first 3 ball games for South Carolina. Oh, my goodness.
Bachman, the rejection.
Look at Trey Kelly. Shift gears, the spin. I'm not a real big fan of guards spinning in traffic in the open floor. I am a big fan of this. Bachman with the hand closest to the ball goes up and just erases it.
South Carolina, they've had success blocking shots all tournament long. Game 1 against Alaska Anchorage, they blocked a school record 15 shots. Novak gets his man up, throws it up, doesn't get it answered, but he's fouled. He'll have 3 free throws. One of the best free throw shooters in the country. He's going to have 3 free points.
Second time this game that Novak has sold it. Watch this, boom. I don't care how hard you sell it. You can put a for sale sign on top of your head if you're Novak. If you're defending him on the perimeter, don't go for the ball fake. You know that's what he wants to do.
Refs are going to take a look to see if it was indeed a 3. Whether or not Novak has his feet behind the line.
Yeah, behind the experimental line that we're playing with here in the tournament. It's a 2 from what I saw there. Would have been a 3 with the line that we play with for the rest of the year, but with the experimental 3-point line in place, I think it's a 2. Watch his left foot. Yeah, clearly inside that further 3-point line.
So Novak will have 2 shots. Remember, he's riding that streak of 42 consecutive free throws made dating back to last season.
You know, it's Tom Crean and Marquette's job to get this guy open on the perimeter. But then once he has the ball, it's his job to take what the defense gives him. And he has done awfully well in that area tonight. Defense crowds him. He knows he can't get his shot off. Sell that ball fake and get yourself to the charity stripe.
Substitution for South Carolina. 23,
Tom Crean won this tournament back in 2001.
Marquette stays patient, and there's no sign that says they won't. With Tom Crean, he will figure out that Big East. Be a major player year in and year out.
Preseason Big East coaches poll, Marquette was picked to finish 12th out of 16 teams. Don't know if Tom Crean agrees with that. Kinsey misses, Balkman inside.
Made the pass, Eric, to the shooter, then ran straight to the rim. And he makes hustle plays that other guys just stand and watch.
Travel on Fitzgerald, gives the ball back over to South Carolina.
Watch Balkman. Sets a screen, pops, drives, kicks, shots going up. Every missed shot belongs to me. Two-hand snatch. Guy's hard to guard. D. Brown, Vincent Greer from Minnesota, Maurice Ager from Michigan State, Orlando Tucker at Wisconsin, now the Big Ten. Certainly J.J. Redick, Justin Gray from Wake Forest, Guillermo Diaz in Miami. Two great nights of basketball. There's my guy.
Balkman has not missed a shot tonight. He is now 7 for 7 from the field.
And I say there's my guy, and not because I care who wins a ball game, but I love kids that play so dadgum hard. And that's what allows this guy to be effective. Yes, he's 6'8" and quick, but he's playing with an edge this year and an effort this year that he did not have last year as a sophomore. And I like to see that maturity and kids grasp what the coach is trying to get across.
Jimmy, what does this tell you? Good defense or good offense or bad defense?
No, it's good offense against good defense. That's what's surprising to me about those numbers. South Carolina is long and lanky, and they take away your vision in passing lanes, and Marquette just gets down in a defensive stance for 35 seconds and loves to do it.
Chapman misses, rebound cleared by Barrow. Another look, missed by Matthews. Another offensive rebound. Bounce pass, and Chapman is mugged.
Chapman fell hard on that right shoulder.
Wasn't intentional, but Joe Chapman was whacked. Joe Chapman down in a heap, the senior from Chicago.
And Chapman not in the starting lineup as a senior. Some of those freshmen are maybe getting that starting knob. But you know what? He comes in right now, gets his 18, 19 minutes a game for Tom Crean, fulfilling the role as a defensive stopper. Play hard, set screens, keep the offense rolling.
And it looks as if Chapman's going to go to the bench and Steve Novak's going to come in and shoot the free throws. How about that for a bargain?
Pretty high IQ move out of Tom Crean.
On the season, Chapman 0 for 1 from the free throw line. Tom Crean knows that, and he also knows that Novak's made 44 consecutive. Make it 45 straight.
Well, the rule states if the guy that got fouled can't shoot the free throws because he's injured, the coach can sub in who he wants. Doesn't take long to go with number 20 in blue, does it? And Dave Odom under his breath is thinking, Chapman's able to come in the next dead ball.
Tom Crean, he is fired up.
The game within the game, Eric.
Kinsey up high. Looks to get it to Balkman. Instead, over to Kelly. Stumbles, throws it up, can't hit it. Loose ball, up and in. How about that? Perseverance by Tisby.
South Carolina loves to climb all over each other on the offensive glass. A group of quick jumpers.
Wesley Matthews over to Novak. Fitzgerald, the transfer from Tulane. Amoroso. Wow, career day for Amoroso, the sophomore from Burnsville, Minnesota. 18 points. Championship games, you need someone unexpected to step up. Tisby. Marquette a chance to tie or take the lead. Amoroso. Inside little floater, and Trey Kelly, he's hitting everything as well.
You just keep watching the number of tough shots taken by the team in white against the open shots taken by the team in blue.
Novak, bottom. Both teams, they are enjoying themselves here in Sullivan Arena. The shots are dropping.
Said Novak plays to his body style. He's not an inside bruiser banger guy. He can float around that perimeter at 6'10", get his shot off, even when the defense is doing a great job of closing out on him. Just right over the top of you.
He's got a game high, 23 points. Inside, Tisby, their best inside player, has room but misses, falls to the floor. It's going to be a 5-on-4 for Marquette. Someone's going to be wide open. It's Amoroso. Gets inside, left-handed layup, no. Missed opportunity for the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, an empty possession when they had the numbers.
Kelly, a little bit of shimmy. Wayne Day misses from outside, and Novak with the rebound.
And there it goes. Look out.
Usman Barrow.
4 times in this game, the Marquette Bigs have run right down the middle of the floor, a hard gut cut to the rim in transition, and got an easy 2 points. 4 times.
And Dave Oldham doesn't want to wait for the media timeout at the 8-minute mark. 18th lead change of this game, and Tom Crean and the Marquette Golden Eagles on top by 1.
The spacing in the transition by Marquette is what makes the play. Get off the interior and let your big run to the rim.
Feast week has been chock full of fantastic games, and well, tonight's Great Alaska Shootout finale is no different. Tom Crean, he has seen 18 lead changes, 4 ties. Marquette and South Carolina, they are in a dogfight. And Jimmy, it's only November, but this game is of vital importance to both teams.
Yeah, it's a well-played game. It's not Gonzaga and Michigan State that we saw earlier in the week out in Maui, a whale of a basketball game, a classic, but a very important ball game. I go back to the fact that the winner of this game, it's almost like buying an insurance policy in November that you may have to use in March. It's a resume win. 27-year history of this shootout. 23 champions have also earned an NCAA berth that same year. It's a launch point for a successful season. That's what's at stake.
Down by 1, South Carolina using some clock. Shot clock down to 8. Trey Kelly not doing much of anything. Hoists a long one. Probably not the way they wanted to come out of the timeout, but they get 3 points. Weird possession results in a 3 for Trey Kelly. He's 5 for 5 behind the arc.
And they keep making tough challenge shots, South Carolina does.
McNeil gets inside. Finger roll comes up short.
Boy, didn't he do a good job, though, of getting low? When he went to the traffic, he got real low with that basketball. It was almost impossible to keep out of the lane.
Boston just missed a shot. Spins inside. Finally, Kelly misses from deep. He's now 5 for 6. But South Carolina, they get the offensive rebound.
And now quietly, South Carolina is starting to do a little bit of work on that offensive glass. It's been the strength of this ball club so far this season.
You said all week long that sometimes their best play is a missed shot. Walkman falls to the floor, and he's able to call timeout. Heady play by the junior from Tampa, Florida. He gets possession of the basketball and calls timeout, and it saves a possession for the Gamecocks. Wednesday night, ESPN's coverage of the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Cisco Systems. It continues first at 7 Eastern, Georgia Tech against Michigan State. And then at 9 Eastern, the Duke Blue Devils head to Bloomington, Indiana to take on the Hoosiers.
Hoosier folks will be whipped into a frenzy at tip-off of that one. I think they're planning a prep rally about 2 hours before that game. And that will be one heck of a basketball game, a game that would tell you a lot about Indiana and where they are, although their stud, DJ White, is not back healthy yet.
Oh, we're talking about great players in the Big Ten and great players in the ACC. How about great players in this Great Alaska Shootout? Back in 2001, this was the coming out party for good old number 3. Dwayne Wade, as a freshman, his first year at Marquette, he was discovered by the world by you, Jimmy.
Well, I remember the first night watching him, he had 30 points, 7 assists, and 5 steals, and just ended up with a ton of points in that 3-game tournament. And boy, when he got it going, he was as good as I've seen in college ball in a long, long, long time. And it has proven out at the next level, hasn't it?
Fantastic play for the Miami Heat. Shot clock down to 4. Rocky Trice forces it up. Off boy! Kinsey! Oh! That hurts. For the second straight day, Kinsey brings everyone to their feet. And now he's whistled for the reach-in.
I told you about them being an offensive rebounding machine at times. Like the old Louisville Cardinals. Watch and listen.
Well, if you ask me, there are 2 ultra impressive things that happen here in Alaska. There's Mount McKinley. That is the highest point in North America, but also equally as impressive, Alaska is home to the largest variety of mosquitoes in the world. 25 different varieties of mosquitoes.
That really surprised me.
And I haven't seen one.
Yeah, I thought it'd be way too cold for mosquitoes to survive in the winter to come out in the spring or the summer. I would rank the Iditarod above the mosquitoes, but that's just me.
Okay. Different strokes for different folks.
1,000 miles with dogs pulling you on a sled. Come on.
Marquette down by 4. 6 minutes and change remaining here in the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout.
Zoned by South Carolina out of the timeout. You better know where Novak is at all times.
Long shot. Freshman James. Dominic James.
Young fella came to Anchorage as a true freshman and might leave as a sophomore as far as experience. The minutes he's had to log and the different looks he's had to have in this tournament.
Good footwork by the big fella. Fitzgerald trying to keep ahead of Trey Kelly. Kinsey, some shade. Little too strong. Rebound snapped down by Amoroso.
Eric, again, another tough shot out of South Carolina in their offense. One-on-one with a hand in their face.
They swing it cross court. Amoroso continues to have a career night. Amoroso off the bench with 21 points.
Doesn't look like a perimeter shooter. Doesn't smell like a perimeter shooter. Tonight, he's a perimeter shooter. He looks like a guy that would foul a lot is what he does.
Trying to tempt Bachman into shooting that. He won't bite.
James,
oh, you can't leave him open. Kelly misses from deep. Rebound fought for. Novak has it, and he is fouled. Dominic James is down, looks to be in pain.
By number 10, Rocky Trice of USC. That'll be his second. The Gamecocks' 6th team foul.
A guy that relies so much on those feet. I think that right one just been out on him. He was playing defense. Watch it right in there. Looks like he got stepped on. He's a tough kid. Played high school football, and again, he's been handed the basketball by Tom Crean as a true freshman. Cordell Henry was excellent at that position from Marquette. Travis Diener was at a whole nother level after Cordell Henry. And now it's this guy's team for the next 4 years.
Trying to walk it off. He will have to leave. A season ago, Dominic James playing high school basketball in Richmond, Indiana. He was the runner-up to the coveted Mr. Basketball in Indiana. The winner was Luke Zeller, who is now at Notre Dame. Remember, Josh McRoberts, pretty darn good freshman at Duke, wasn't even in the equation. Top 2 guys, Zeller and Dominique James.
Boy, and to hand the basketball to a true freshman like Tom Crean has done this year, I think you make it a ceremony. You call him into the office and you say, son, next to my wife and my children, this basketball is the most important thing in the world to me. I'm going to give it to you, and in 4 or 5 months, you've got to bring it back to me intact. That's the trust that he has in that point guard right now.
Novak up high. Gets inside. A little bit off the mark. Rebound, Bachman. Kinsey on the wing. Gets a screen from Wallace. Wallace gets open. Leaner off the glass and in.
And you've got a possible insurance policy win at stake now with 4 to go in the Great Alaska Shootout. This would be huge if you're trying to find one of those at-large bids late in the year and you're on the bubble.
McNeil loses it. Steal. Stolen back by Amoroso. Picked the pocket. Nobody saw him coming.
An effort play by 43 in blue. That's all it was.
Amoroso, another look. This time he misses from behind the arc for the first time this evening. Kelly wants the basketball. Shoots it over to Wallace. Gets it back. Walkman working. They're not going to get it to him. They get it to Kinsey coming off a curl.
They've been easy to guard the first 20 seconds of this possession, South Carolina. Finally, they go inside to Bachman.
Foul is called on Amoroso. That is the 6th team foul for Marquette. Bachman and South Carolina duking it out. Last game here in the last frontier for 2005 Great Alaska Shootout Championship game, and it is a dandy 74-74 tie, and a big reason why Marquette they're in this game is because of Ryan Amoroso.
Well, think about it. He had taken 20 shots total coming into tonight's ball game, only averaging 5 shots a game. Right now, he's got 21 points on 9 of 14 from the field. And he's just another perimeter guy, although he looks like an inside banger. He's got perimeter skills. 21 and 9 so far in this ball game for Amoroso. You said it earlier, when you're trying to win a championship, whether it's in a tournament or a conference tournament or in the NCAA, sometimes an unexpected guy steps up, and it's been Ryan Amoroso in this one. But a well-played basketball game by both teams.
Amoroso currently on the bench. Also on the bench for Marquette is Dominique James. Turned his ankle just a moment ago. Don't know whether or not he will return.
Ronaldo Bachman, 34 in white, is 7 for 7 in this ball game. I like him getting a touch the remaining 2:47 if I'm Dave Odom.
And he's got it. Bachman working right side, leans in. That's his first miss. What'd you think of the shot?
Tough shot. Another tough challenge shot. They've taken more of those in this ball game than Marquette has.
Wesley Matthews gets inside, has it knocked away. Novak inside, running one-hander off the window.
You know, if he'll just do that 3 or 4 times a ball game, it's really going to free him up to be that 17, 18 point a night guy that Tom Crean needs. Because he'll make a couple of them, and he'll get him to the free throw stripe another 4 or 5 times.
Trice over to Kinsey, and Kinsey hits it, and he's fouled.
Got to the sweet spot on the floor. Look at Kinsey catch that ball. What frees him up is that rip, that sweep move. When he caught that basketball, the ball was actually on the right side of his body, but the hard sweep, boom, right to left, that's what freed him up for the open jump shot.
This is the championship game of the Great Alaska Shootout. Marquette taking on South Carolina. Feast Week presented by Lowe's. And folks, this has been absolutely a dandy. Alongside Jimmy Dykes, I'm Eric Collins. The winner, you believe Jimmy has a very good chance to, when all things are said and done, come March, if they're hanging in the balance, this is going to be the tiebreaker to get him into the NCAA tournament. A lot of attempts inside. South Carolina can't cash in, but a foul is going to be called. And it's going to go against the Cox. Oh, real tough break for the kids from South Carolina.
You know, I know we saw a great effort in Maui. It was November with March effort, and the same thing is going on in this building tonight. Absolutely getting after each other on the offensive glass right now. They know what's at stake.
They call over the back on Rocky Trice, and we're going to have free throws for Dominic James, who's just checked back into the game. Remember, he turned his ankle. He's been sitting on the bench for about 10 minutes of real time.
Marquette's going to have the opportunity in the Big East to beat a UConn or a Louisville or a Villanova. You know, Notre Dame, teams like that. So if South Carolina can beat Marquette in this championship, that really helps their RPI. On the flip side, South Carolina's going to win their fair share against the likes of Florida and Kentucky and LSU and Alabama and Arkansas. So if Marquette wins, it really helps them come March.
That's just the second free throw miss on the night for Marquette. They're 14 out of 16 from the stripe. Torrance Kinsey to Wallace.
Nice high-low.
Oh, and Bachman misses from point-blank range. That's just the second miss of the evening for Bachman. He's 7 for 9, but that was a crucial misfire. And a timeout called by Marquette.
Bachman now with the remaining 1:14 to go can't play the game in reverse. Can't play the game backwards. That shot's gone. Leave it, flush it. Great high-low. I love Wallace as a passer up top because he's 6'10". He just missed it. Didn't drop his head, didn't drop his eyes off the target. He just missed it. He's got to forget about it. Dave Odom will probably address it.
The game, only down 1 point.
Wednesday night, ESPN's coverage of the Big Ten ACC Challenge presented by Cisco Systems continues. First at 7 Eastern, Georgia Tech taking on Michigan State. Following, it's 9 Eastern, Duke against Indiana.
Great basketball all week long, and also part of that Big Ten ACC Challenge is Wisconsin at Wake. Keep an eye on Orlando Tucker from Wisconsin, the MVP of the Paradise Jam. 38 points over Eastern Kentucky, 20 against Old Dominion in the finals. Bo Ryan has won 77% of his games, 20 years as a head coach in Wisconsin. My opinion, the most underrated head coach in the game is Bo Ryan. He's outstanding.
Tom Crean, pretty good head man. What was he just talking about in that huddle with Marquette?
Well, you look at him with the lead right now. You talk about fouls to give and timeouts left, but they are always good coming out of timeouts, running a set play, getting the ball into the hands of the shooter where Tom Crean wants the ball to go.
Dominic James, the freshman. Oh, my. Wants to take the big shot and hits it.
Looked like they're trying to get Novak on a pick and pop. It wasn't there, so they just clear him out and let Novak work off of a ball screen.
South Carolina. Kinsey free.
Oh, my! Wow! How about that? A freshman on one end, and it's answered by a senior on the other. Dominic James with a little shake. Just the rhythm dribble to the left is all he's doing to get himself in rhythm. Then on the other end, from about the same spot that he drilled one on St. Joe's last year in the NIT, Torrance Kinsey, huge.
A chance to tie. Kinsey, 1 for 2 from the line today. He's been pretty darn good from the free throw line so far this season. And that continues. Tie ball game. 80-80 time. Marquette, South Carolina playing for the championship for the Great Alaska Shootout. Well, immediately following this ball game, it's NBA Fast Break. KG taking on LeBron James. And BJ Armstrong thinks the Knicks have a good chance. And then, of course, the 3 Ds of November. Wonder what those 3 Ds are.
If they're talking NBA, it's not dedication, discipline, and defense like I was brought up under Eddie Sutton, I can tell you that. Well, here's our situation right now. Both teams in the bonus. Marquette with 3 timeouts left. That's important when you have a young perimeter like he's operating with right now. Possession there with Marquette, so you cover all those things in your huddle with your kids. I'm a firm believer with 46 seconds to go, the last thing you tell your guys, Eric, is clean up the miss. Clean up the miss. All 5 guys box off and don't give a second opportunity to a missed shot.
When on the shot clock would be a good time for Marquette to take a shot? How much time do they want to use?
I think they take their first good look. I mean, Tom Crean's a guy, I mean, the score's tied at 80. But he drew up a special scoring play designed to get a good open look. He's not going to be too choosy about when it comes right now. There's no reason to take it all the way down. Here they go to work. James off of a fade screen. They use Novak as a screener to try to get him the ball up top.
Big set by Amoroso. James blows by. Misses the shot out of bounds. And it stays with Marquette. They're going to get a fresh shot clock. Shot clock is off. So I believe Marquette can hold for the final shot of the game.
I'd say the ankle of James is okay. The jets of that little guy. Great job by Tom Crean, knowing what he wanted out of his offense. If he couldn't get Novak a three-point shot, he wanted James to have a clear out on the right side and attack the rim. At worst, get to the free throw stripe. Everything went well, they just didn't get the call.
Well, just moments ago, an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old, freshman and senior, both with big shots.
Dominique James, I'm telling you what, led the state of Indiana in scoring last year as a senior in high school. And then Torrance Kinsey, shades of the NIT finals last year in Madison Square Garden, about the same spot on the floor. Big, big baskets in November.
4-point play after the free throw was made. Kinsey ties it at 80. The referees are actually going to take a look at our monitors and see whether or not the ball hit the rim on this last possession by Marquette. If it did, then it's a...
I think right there it did. Yeah, it came back. It bounced back this way, so it had to hit the rim in order to change directions like that.
That means that the shot clock will be turned off,
yes,
and Marquette can hold for the final shot.
Yeah, there's the contact right there. Good job by the officials to use the monitor and make sure everything's on the same page. You know, it's something small, but Tom Crean still has 2 timeouts left. And again, this is a guy that at times has to play the lead guard position himself with such a young backcourt. Travis Diener on the floor, you can burn your timeouts and just verbalize to him what you want.
Marquette looking for a good shot. South Carolina, what kind of defense are they thinking about playing right now?
Well, I don't think they come out in anything but their long, length, quickness, fast defense, which is their man-to-man. Now, it's a gamble on this out of bounds because early in the season, you can have out-of-bounds plays in that you have not used yet, so there's no way to scout it. Marquette could very well get an open look off the out-of-bounds if you're not careful.
James up high, hounded by Trice.
Now I think you play for the last shot. At worst, you go into overtime. And if you're playing for the last shot, you take the last shot, not one with 6 or 7 to go. Amoroso was open.
James gets inside. A little bit short, tapped up. Fight! Matthews misses, and we've got overtime. The South Carolina Gamecocks live to fight another day. There was some bumping and scratching, and nothing's been decided after 40 minutes.
I like the play by Marquette. Dominique James with about 5 on the clock goes to attack. So it's going to be difficult for South Carolina to come out of there and throw one in at the buzzer. Boy, look at the effort. You think that this Alaska shootout doesn't have something at stake for these kids. The shot is just a little bit short, and then, like I said, you better get in and clean up the miss. That's the last thing you tell your kids in the huddle. It looked like Dave Odom made sure his kids understood the importance of all 5 going to the glass.
South Carolina, Dave Odom, he has seen close games, and his team has won close games. Last year, this was the final game of the NIT. Up by 3, Pat Carroll of St. Joe's knocks down a 3 to tie it up. No timeout call. Torrance Kinsey, no worries. Saunters across the half-court line, raises, rips, And South Carolina wins the NIT.
Because of that win, South Carolina, when they walked in this building on Tuesday, they were the most confident team that I saw. That's what it did for that program. That same confidence boost will go to the winner of this game as they get on the plane tomorrow and head back to the lower 48. Again, this is a good resume win. You got an SEC team with a chance to knock off a Big East team with a chance to knock off an upper division SEC team when it's all said and done. You want that on your resume come March when you're battling for an at-large spot.
And folks, after 28 years of doing this up here in Anchorage, this is the first overtime championship game. Jump ball, won by Novak in Marquette.
Amoroso
Inside, first blood drawn by the Golden Eagles.
Just an all-out big Valentine hustle play by Amoroso. Little scramble for the ball. The game kind of slowed down for a second. Amoroso read it. Boom, right to the rim.
Amoroso jumped center, and then it was the first man under the rim for the layup. He's got a career-high 23. South Carolina trying to answer. Bachman inside, hands it off. Wallace, nice left hand.
Bachman is a terrific passer in traffic. And he puts that ball on the floor, and he's not one-dimensional when he does it.
Entry pass. And Amoroso is whacked on the arm by Bachman.
South Carolina fouls on number 34. Melville Bachman, now he has fourth.
For Bachman, that's now 4 personal fouls in overtime. Do you protect him with 4 personal fouls, or what do you do?
No. No, you can protect him on the plane ride home tomorrow. You only got 4 minutes to go. Leave him out there. And now Tom Crean's a crafty guy. If he sees Bachman staying in, which he is, Tom Crean may very well go right back at him on the next possession.
Amoroso, a very good free thrower. 7 out of 8 on the year. Misses the front end of a 1-and-1. Rebound snapped down by Bachman. Travel before the move by Kelly.
Just playing too fast, trying to create something out of nothing. I mean, it was one skip pass. Marquette had their defense locked in. Their teeth were set. Kelly had nowhere to go, and he traveled because of it.
Dominic James over to Amoroso. Novak wants it on the block. Can't get it to him.
And now Bachman's on the point guard. Bachman has 4. Adding.
Fitzgerald swings it to Matthews. Fitzgerald over to Amoroso. Shot clock down to 2. Ball goes out of bounds up the side of the backboard. Tom Crean not pleased.
That was a championship defensive stance that time by South Carolina. They talked, they communicated, they switched out on shooters, they stayed in their stance for 35 seconds. About as well as you can do it. Now here's that 2-3 half-court trap that Marquette will throw 4 or 5 times a game.
Bachman wheels. Over to Kelly. He's been money. Misses. Rebound Matthews. We've played 2 minutes here in this overtime period. Each side with 2 points. And Novak makes it 5 for Marquette.
Set play by Tom Crean. He called it out from the side. And again, this is a guy that has a bag full of set plays. Getting the shot from the spot on the floor from the guy that you want is what Tom Crean's thinking right now.
Kelly gets inside.
Oh, charge, they called it.
Wave off.
Only 2 Golden Eagles are down with that contact. Trey Kelly. Boom. Oh, yeah, Kelly fell into the knees of Matthews after he comes down. 23 right there, his knee got bent sideways when Kelly fell into him. The guy that took the charge, Dominique James, is still down.
James, he's had a tough evening. Thought he was lost for a while earlier in the second half. Tweaked an ankle. Now face down after having Kelly land on him.
Tom Crean said last night he wants to turn it into a toughness game, and part of a toughness game is taking charge when you can see the contact coming from about 15 feet away and hanging in there and taking the blow. He is a tough little nut now, I'm telling you. Playing with a bad ankle and all. He stroked a huge one at the end of regulation. Has guarded his tail feathers off as a Golden Eagle tonight. Key plays in this ball game. There he is, just a rhythm dribble to his left, and Kelly didn't read that rhythm dribble and allowed Dominique James to dribble into his shot. Boom. And a nice kick. Torrance Kinsey answered at the end of regulation to get this thing in that overtime mode. And like he's gonna have to sit for a little bit.
An assist away from a double-double. We'll see whether or not Dominique James can come back into this game and get that 10-assist evening. Dan Fitzgerald runs the point. Big fella, 6'9", transfer from Tulane with the ball up high.
And he is their backup point. At 6'9", though, he is their backup point guard. You can get up into him, though. He's not the jet that Dominique James is. I'd get all over him right now. They do.
Stolen away. Wide open. Trey Kelly ahead of the pack. And Kelly pulls the Gamecocks within one.
Well, that's the loss of Dominique James right there. Fitzgerald is adequate, but he's not great. And a little bit of pressure can get to him. Completely fronting Amoroso.
Matthews on the wing.
Bachman with 4 fouls. Eric inside on Amoroso now. They're getting into a little bit of contact with each other.
Novak, quick release. Off the mark, Amoroso, rebound, grabbed on the arm, can't hit it, but he'll go to the free throw line and shoot 2. The going's been tough here in overtime.
Well, there's a steal and the throw-ahead pass by Bachman. Didn't hesitate with it. Didn't worry about hitting the guy in stride. Just bowed out in front and let him run it down. And look at Amoroso. The contact came hard, but he's still strong enough to get the ball going up towards the rim and get himself to the free throw strike. And this guy has been a load all evening long. Great upper body strength again. And looks like a guy that's in the ball game to foul. Plays like a guy that's in the ball game to score.
Career high 24 points. Yesterday, he had 6 against Oral Roberts.
Marquette wins the game. They'll look back on the job they did on the glass. The game within the game is rebounding, and Marquette has the advantage.
Kinsey with the basketball. Works left side. Pull up. What a clutch shot that was.
And what was it again? It's another tough shot. Just Kinsey saying, get me the ball, let me make a play.
McNeil taking a chance, partially blocked. Gamecocks with a chance to go ahead. Underneath a minute to play. Kinsey bottled up. Open look for Wallace. Oh, my! The 6'10 Wallace knocks home the triple. And timeout is called. Marquette, they are stunned right now. And who can blame them? Brandon Wallace, he struggles from deep, but he makes it when it counts.
Had not made a three-point shot coming into tonight's ball game. There you see the hard jump of the basketball leaves Brandon Wallace spotted up in the corner at 6'10", bottom. Big bucket by 33, Brandon Wallace, and Amoroso right here is assigned to Brandon Wallace. But now as this play rolls on, Bachman is going to flash into the high post area right there, 34, and draw Amoroso's attention just a little bit. Now, Amoroso in defense of him, he's thinking, Wallace is not a three-point threat, so I can be late to my recovery to him on the perimeter. But that one step being late allowed Wallace to measure it and drop one on him. Almost have to credit Bachman with an assist because he drew the attention from Amoroso from his guy to Bachman just for a second, and that's when big fella drifted to the corner on him.
Possession arrow favors South Carolina. South Carolina riding a 9-game winning streak, tied with North Carolina for the longest streaks in the country.
What a finish to a fabulous feast week.
James with the dribble up high, works off a screen from Novak. Long three, misses it. Amoroso, rebound, up with it. It's in and he's fouled. Are you kidding me? Something must have been in Amoroso's turkey.
Yeah, well, he's playing with a Valentine right now that's as big as his shorts is what he's doing. And those are some awfully big shorts that he's got on. I mean, that ball right now belongs to anybody that wants it. Because Amoroso wants it just a little bit worse than anyone else. He comes up with another effort play. Terrific.
Folks, this kid came off the bench. And he gives the Golden Eagles a 1-point advantage. Substitution defensively. Wesley Matthews comes in, replacing Joe Chapman for Marquette. Tom Crean barks out his defensive orders. South Carolina can hold it for the last shot if they want to.
They can't hold it for the very last one. They have to leave themselves time to what at times in this tournament has been their best play, an offensive rebound. Get it on the rim, let your athletes go get it. Trying to clear out. That's a tough clear out oversized.
Kelly can't hit it.
There's the offensive glass.
Rebound, Amoroso. Who else?
Another tough shot out of South Carolina. Trey Kelly at 6'1", they run a clear out, but he's being covered by size. A primary defender at 6'9" is on him, backed up by a secondary built-in defender, Amoroso, who rotates over. So you clear out for a guy that's going to get size, and it makes it tough. The impressive thing about was that Amoroso initially was the help defender on the shot and then runs right back to the front of the rim and cleans up the miss. Another big Valentine play out of Ryan Amoroso. My goodness.
Amoroso makes the first, and a timeout is called. South Carolina, they want to talk about options. They still have 4 seconds remaining. Amoroso will have one more free throw to go.
Tom Crean challenged his club last night and today about being a toughness game. The toughest team and the best rebounding team will win this ball game. Amoroso with a huge snatch on offense. Now watch the effort this kid plays with. He's going to go out and challenge the shot, land on his feet about 8 feet away and come right back to the front of the rim and get the biggest traffic rebound of his life.
Some pretty good teams on the champions list here in Feast Week. Guardians Classic, Texas. Maui Invitational, the Huskies of UConn, NIT season tip-off Duke. Marquette gunning to join those 3 fantastic clubs.
Yeah, those 3 are legit Final Four contenders. Marquette is not, and I don't think Tom Crean has any aspirations of that. But they have aspirations of winning this shootout and taking that huge momentum on the plane with them back to Milwaukee.
Marquette trying to make a statement that they are the greatest Alaska shootout team ever. They've never lost a game in this tournament. Remember, they won back in 2001. They are 5-0 lifetime here in Anchorage.
One shot.
Three-point lead for Marquette.
Kinsey hit a big one last year in the NIT. He needs to hit another big one here to extend this game. Throw it going towards the basket. You got some chance now.
Kelly. And Marquette wins it.
is undefeated as a head coach in this tournament. I go back to Tuesday morning when he walked in to an empty Sullivan Arena and looked up at the banners and said, Jimmy, I love this tournament. And his youngsters have grown up from Monday to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday, and now it's Saturday, and they're carrying home a very important championship. 27 years of the tournament, 23 champions, have also earned an NCAA bid that same year.
Last play, last gasp effort for South Carolina. Trey Kelly, he's been fantastic all evening long. Comes up a little bit shy on a shot that would have tied it.
Well, again, the size of Marquette, Fitzgerald, and Novak surrounding. So the size of Marquette, the last two possessions in this ball game bothered the small guards of South Carolina. What a basketball game, though.
Congratulations, Marquette, as they win the 2005 Great Alaska Shootout. Our final score, the Golden Eagles 92, the Gamecocks of South Carolina 89. NBA Fast Break is next. For Jimmy Dykes, I'm Eric Collins. Thank you for watching, everybody. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.